So I've gone over BPA, fluoride. Look at homeschooling. Last number I saw, again, just 12 years ago, they estimated there were 200,000 homeschoolers in this country. And that's the government's own numbers. Guess how many are estimated to be homeschooled or quasi-homeschooled now? They got a lot of homeschool systems where you go like 1 day or 2 days a week so you can be part of sports teams and stuff, which I think is great, to private schools and systems. Guess how many now are homeschooled in a year? 4 million. It's estimated in its exponential growth curve by 2020, more than half of U.S. school children will be either homeschooled or quasi-homeschooled. That's why the system is panicking, because we just put our kids on the yellow school bus, send them off for fluoride treatments and aspartame food and GMO, and just hand them over to the government, and the government's sitting there saying, oh, you drew a picture of a gun. We're going to arrest your daddy now. Oh, you're a 4-year-old in Head Start. What's the gun? Daddy kills monsters with it. I saw it on TV. You're going to be with the CPS tonight. And of course, we know what they do to children, but we're the good people. And you've got these teachers who just think it's normal. A lot of them, they're well-meaning. They think the state's good. And in America, when somebody draws a picture of the gun, the children go bye-bye to the pot-bellied pedophiles. Yeah, it's sick, and it's time to call them out. Hey, what are you doing taking all these kids when you're 5 times more likely in the Justice Department's own reports to abuse children? And you cover up for what you do. Again, it's time to get in their face. So, California and other states have moved to basically ban homeschooling. More people are pulling their kids out. Quite frankly, it'd be better your child had no education than be in a government training camp. But I know they try to make everybody work so hard, so you got to be at work, both of you, so the state can have your kids. And if they got to be in there, just make it a game about, teach them about authoritarian countries, teach them about Nazi Germany, trying to take over people's kids from them, Soviet Russia, Communist China, Pol Pot's, Khmer Rouge, Cambodia, the list goes on. And explain to your children what's really happening. And that's going on. My children, when they see propaganda now, recognize it because they were taught to recognize it, and they instinctively know to trust me and my wife, not some stranger trying to get involved in my family. And that's another issue that we need to get to, and it's the attempt to inoculate. Record numbers of people are not inoculating their children, and you can debate whether the science of inoculation is useful, and it is. There's no doubt if there was some deadly virus or bacterium that they could probably produce a vaccine that would give you acquired immunity. The problem is the major studies show that even if it was a good, clean vaccine, it begins to reduce your overall immune system in the future, just like antibiotics do. But hey, if you're dying of gangrene, it works great. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. The problem is the corrupt interests that run Big Pharma are eugenicists on record who have said that they want to reduce our world's population and who've been caught thousands of times adding horrible things to vaccines. That's the issue. They always try to argue, oh, you're against vaccines. You're against science. That's like saying, you're against all roast beef sandwiches. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm against this one that you just took a big crap in. You like that one? Wrote that one on the fly. I know there's some children here I shouldn't be doing. I do I'm more myself a little bit when there's not the FCC and everything, but I mean, come on. I mean, the point is, all kids get what I'm saying with that. They're understanding what I'm saying. We could debate vaccines. If there was some deadly plague out there and they had a vaccine that was proven to, help, and it might even have some side effects, let me make the choice. But don't get up on the news and say, people not vaccinating are going to cause you to die who've been vaccinated. Wait, you've been vaccinated? But me not taking it's going to make you sick? I thought the vaccine protected you. And I've done some digging over the years. Polio, meningitis, The list goes on and on. Measles, mumps, rubella. Do you know what the governments of Europe, the US, you name it, admit? Most of these diseases, including the smallpox, on record, look this up when somebody's pecking at you, telling you should care about your kid, you should give him this. Go look it up. Don't believe me. Most of these vaccines don't protect you, A, from what they say they're protecting. It says it on the insert, like the Gardasil shot. But B, they're the main spreaders of all the things I just mentioned. The number one spreader of measles, mumps, rubella, polio, meningitis, look it up, is vaccine reaction, where it actually gives it to you. Remember in 2002, on the heels of the government anthrax attack, with the super weaponized anthrax on record now, to shut down Congress and pass the Patriot Act, on the heels of that AIM strain directly out of the Army Biological Weapons Lab, on the heels of that, I'm here pulling up the data, on the heels of that, they came out and said, we're going to give all the firemen, all the police, all the military, all the first responders, because it's not just the military we're going to force experimental stuff on now, it's everybody that works for the system. We're going to give you a smallpox shot. And all those people started dying of heart attacks from an autoimmune response, and they had to pull it back because smallpox actually started spreading. And it was in the newspapers, but a footnote. Yeah, down 5 paragraphs. There was small side effects, smallpox is spreading. It's not a big deal. People are dying too. And I read an LA Times article where out of 14 million first responders of one type or another, EMT, police, fire, military, that's what they call first responders now. Out of those first responders, 4% took the smallpox shot. They were ordered to, outside of law. They said, if you want your job, I had police chiefs, fire chiefs on against it. They said in 2002, they said under the Emergency Centers Establishment Act's the new one where they want to forcibly inoculate. That was the Model States Health Emergency Powers Act. Under that, they were telling them, you want your job, take this anthrax shot and this smallpox that are experimental. And the police, firemen, and others, fire persons, went and did the research and came back and said, you can't order me to take an experimental vaccine. In fact, you can't order me to take any vaccine. And so basically, 96% of them didn't take it. Again, how's the New World Order? Yeah, that's a solution right there. How is the New World Order gonna enforce all of this when their own enforcers are starting to wake up to them? Think about that. People are getting wise. When the feds put the underwear bomber on the plane 2 Christmases ago, our listeners were on board and saw the government put him on board. And they came on my radio show, Kurt Haskell, his wife's testimony as well, and said, we saw a sharp-dressed man order security to let him on without a passport, without the proper identification at the gate. And then a month and a half later, after I was called a conspiracy theorist, the State Department Undersecretary Kennedy told C-SPAN, we were ordered by an unnamed U.S. agency to give him a visa and get him on the airplane. Right when they come out with the naked body scanners. Again, that freaks the globalist out like nothing you can imagine, that once you start to get wise to them, all the momentum swings into the favor of humanity. So realize, we have been really slowly gaining momentum, struggling from the bottom up as the underdog. And more, they've got the money, the propaganda, the fear, but we've got right on our side, and we are starting to turn the tide. That is the blueprint to defeat the New World Order, is to recognize these scum for what they are.
Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? Go to Infowars.com and prisonplanet.tv for the latest headlines and cutting-edge information.